Hi everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to Performing Arts with Arun Bharadwaj.
I know that sounds like it might be an oxymoron of doing this crazy broad character that's grounded in reality, but it is important to understand where the character is coming from, what his motivations are, whether it's jealousy or, insecurity or whatever it is. And then you just sort of go with that and try to play these crazy big moments in some sort of real way. You have to just sort of feel it out, and take the chances. And if you feel like on some level it's grounded in some sort of reality, that's really the most important thing.
Hein? Ça, c'est à moi qui parle, là. Oh, c'est à moi que tu parles. Les mecs, c'est à moi qui parle, son cul. C'est à moi qui parle, putain. C'est à moi que tu parles comme ça, mec.
The many classical branches of psychology include psychodynamics or Freudian psychology, behaviorism, neuropsychology, evolutionary psychology, cognitive psychology, and social psychology. Each takes different approach to explaining human nature, human behavior, and human personality. For example, according to evolutionary psychology, our behavior is biologically driven by our genes, which were shaped by natural selection over several million years. According to behavioristic psychology, our behavior is biologically driven plus the result of prior conditioning as we encounter rewards and punishment. According to psychodynamic psychology, our behavior is biologically driven plus the result of unconscious conflicts and repressed memories from childhood. According to cognitive psychology, our behavior is biologically driven plus the result of how we learn to process information. According to social psychology, our behavior is biologically driven plus the result of how what we learn is shaped by our surrounding society, culture, and the groups we belong to. Each of these schools of thoughts emphasizes the importance of one source of influence, and they all appear to be right, but at the same time, perhaps each also loses sight of the bigger picture. Psychology has become rather more fragmented than integrated. Free will versus determinism. One thing all of the classical branches of psychology agree upon is that our every thought, feeling, and action is determined by pre-existing forces beyond our control, the forces of nature and nurture. In other words, we are entirely the products of our genetics, our upbringing, our environment, or whatever. It's all out of our control. We are nothing but biological machines, genetic puppets. This has been the core assumption of most theorists, but since the middle of the 20th century, some psychologists have questioned this assumption. Is everything we think, feel, and do really determined by forces beyond our control, or do we have at least some free will to make our own decisions? Can we change and improve our future selves by choice? Or are we doomed to remain helpless products of our past? Free will is a profound issue. Some psychologists believe in it, but many, perhaps the majority, do not. Why? Because it does not sit easily with the scientific assumption that all events are automatically determined by prior events. This difference of opinion has a dramatic effect on how different psychologists study human behavior and personality, how they interpret research findings, and what they believe it is possible for human beings to achieve. The new psychologies. In contrast to the classical psychologists who view the person as no more than a biological machine, there has been a new wave of psychologists who emphasize the role of consciousness and free will. Humanistic psychologists focus on the individual's use of free will in shaping their own personal development. Positive psychologists focus on enhancing the experience of life rather than just repairing psychological damage. Transpersonal psychologists focus on exceptional human experiences which suggest the role of spiritual factors in human life. Humanistic psychologists such as Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow have emphasized that personality development is at least partly the result of our conscious choices in life. If people want to change their own personalities, their intention to do so is important. It's this perspective that has given birth to the hugely popular self-help and personal growth movements. Temperament and character. Suggesting that we have free will doesn't mean denying that we are constrained by forces of nature and nurture. Both can be true. For this reason, some psychologists have come to see personality as both externally determined and internally driven. Or to put it another way, personality equal to temperament plus character, where temperament refers to those traits that are determined by our nature and nurture. Even at birth, we can see differences in temperament. Some infants, for example, are naturally timid, while others are naturally bold. Character refers to how we develop as individuals, how we choose to deal with life as we grow through experience. Character is also the sum of our choices, for better or worse, our virtues and vices. A person of good character, for example, has high integrity. A person of bad character does not. It helps to be a good judge of character. It's been said that temperament is something we share with other animals, while character is perhaps uniquely human. According to the temperament and character model, temperament consists of four dimensions. Harm avoidance, the tendency to avoid potentially threatening situations. Reward dependence, the tendency to pursue social rewards and positive feedback. Novelty seeking, the tendency to explore opportunities for new kinds of reward. Perseverance, the tendency to continue seeking a goal despite frustration or fatigue. While character consists of three: self-directedness, the tendency to determine one's own experiences across different situations. Cooperativeness, the tendency to coexist harmoniously with others across different situations. Self-transcendence, the tendency to meaningfully relate one's personal experience to life or the universe as a whole. The self-transcendence aspect of character refers to the drive some people have to search for something beyond their individual existence. The spiritual dimension, the temperament and character model, is the only major model of personality to include this aspect, though it appears to be central to our well-being. Feeling good, the science of well-being. A transpersonal perspective. I have been interested in personality as long as I decided to become an actor. What makes people think? In what ways am I different from other people? Are we all the same under the skin? These questions have always intrigued me. This is one of the reasons why I became deeply interested in psychological aspect of acting skill as in art. But in addition to the psychological viewpoint, I embrace a more spiritual view of human nature, a transpersonal view of the personal self. From this perspective, personality is a vehicle through which our essential self, our innermost being, operates in the world, particularly in social interaction. I have learned that to really understand ourselves, we need a kind of bifocal vision to view ourselves at two levels. I generally refer to these as essence and personality. Personality is who we are, or at least who we seem to be, as individuals in everyday life. It's how we express ourselves to others and how we perceive ourselves as a result. Some of us are more extrovert than others. Some of us are more neurotic than others. It's all relative. Essence is what we are at the level of ultimate reality, beyond all the relative stuff of ordinary life. Essence is our true nature, our innermost being, our deepest truth. Essence is synonymous with spiritual or soul. It's pure potential emerging and evolving through consciousness. All essence is one, but there is a specific instance of essence that is you and another instance that is me. Psychologists generally view the self in terms of brain, mind, and personality, but generally overlook spirituality and so neglect the essence of who we are. Mystics view the self in terms of divine essence, the spirit or soul, but generally overlook the psychology of personality in ordinary life. But combining these two levels, personality and spirituality, the personal and the transpersonal, the psychological and the mystical, gives a fuller and richer picture of who we are. We can directly experience our essential self. It happens in moments of self-realization, also known as satori, gnosis, enlightenment. So what is personality? Bottom line, it depends upon your perspective on human nature. If you believe that people are biological machines, driven by their genes, their brains, and their environments, then personality is simply those differences in behavior that are caused by nature or nurture, genetic, biological, and environmental factors. If you believe that people can consciously change and improve themselves to some extent, then personality is a whole that is greater than just the sum of its parts, traits. Personality is something we can consciously develop, like our physical health and fitness. This includes the possibility of developing character, a set of strengths and virtues, as well as weaknesses and vices that individuals can adopt and develop throughout life. If you believe that people are at the very core of their being, part of a self evolving cosmic consciousness, exploring and expressing itself through the myriad forms of humanity and other creatures, then personality is an individually tailored vehicle for such exploration.
You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody. Instead of a bum, which is what I am. Let's face it.
For more videos and acting tips, subscribe and like. And make sure to write your comments below. I hope you like this video. Thank you very much. See you soon in the next episode. Oh, did you subscribe the channel clicking on the red button below? Did you? Alright guys, have a nice time and sign off.